Hey, One Punch Man fans, this is Chris Bolts, and I'm coming in with an episode recap and review of this week's episode 3, Ninja Tale. Now, before I do get into the content, do make sure you like, share, subscribe, turn on the post notifications. All that stuff really does help me out. Now, the perfect summation of this episode can be this. There's the Flashy Flash fight, and then there's the rest of the anime. Now, as we start off right here, we see Flashy Flash. She's just at the aftermath of being confronted by these monsters, and he dispatches of them very easily, although you couldn't really tell. Look, because when he does his little Flashy Flash attack on them, you don't see that it actually looks like he really did anything. But this is the logic side of me thinking, I don't know how he could actually stab them on top of the head, because it doesn't look like there's much space up there. But again, that's just the logic of me thinking. Normally when they do this Flashy Flash type of stuff, where the swordsman cuts them up really fast and everything, you'll see things on their body, but we don't see that right here. That's just a minor quibble in my view. However, the rest of this, I would say the rest of this right here, after you get past the title, we see that Flashy Flash is finally going to be confronted by two of the guys that's been looking for him. We got, I think his name is Hellfire, and his name is Demon Wind. They do go in there and they do tell the names of these characters right here. But if you're One Punch Man fans, you already know who they are. But frankly, this was the best part of the entire episode. In fact, I thought the entire episode would be similar to this fight right here. Because just look at the way that the animators actually came at this fight. This is almost like a traditional anime fight, but you see it's all flashy. They're moving really fast. Their technique looks really great. The animation looks really great. Frankly, whoever did this particular episode rather, they did a damn good job with the Flashy Flash fight. I'm gonna be very honest up front with this point blank. I think they did a pretty good job on this fight. I was so impressed when I saw this. I like when they got the lines right there going after each other. This was pretty awesome. This is what, if all of One Punch Man season 3 was of this caliber of animation, I don't think many people would have as big of a problem with season 3 as we do right now, because they have these flashes right here. And me personally, again, I loved episode 5. I thought episode was great. I gave it an 8 out of 10. But then right after episode 5, we got the worst episode out of the entire season so far. And that's episode 6. Episode 6, once again, is one of the worst rated anime episodes of all time. I think it's currently sitting at a 1.8 on IMDb. Let's go ahead and check that score out right now. Let me go and check the IMDb score for One Punch Man episode 6. Yeah, so it's sitting at a 1.4. A 1.4 is where it's currently sitting at right now, and some people are giving this episode 8 a 5.6. I don't think I agree that it's a 5.6, but I would put it more towards a 6 out of 10, maybe even a 6.5, and it's all because of this Flashy Flash fight. This Flashy Flash fight was so good in my view. You see both of them, both of his opponents are just running around him really quickly and all that. He's just standing there and observing them, looking and seeing where they're getting ready to make a move. And apparently these two assassins are older than Flashy Flash, and he's showing them up with a technique. And then ultimately, when he finally lands the killing blow on these two, let me just go right here. When he lands this killing blow, you can feel all the emotion and the impact that these two fighters had, along with Flashy Flash, who is emotionless, and I think that's just his character. He's very stoic, very rational, and just very focused on his purpose. But the two characters have a moment right there. This one says that Flashy Flash gets under his skin because he knows that Flashy Flash is better than him. And this character right here, Demon, says, he asks Flashy Flash what it is that they are missing, what technique it is that they missed, and we're not able to defeat him. You see right there, what is it that we lacked? And Flashy Flash simply says, you guys lack training. That's it. You lack training. You didn't train as hard as he did. Flashy Flash is dedicated to his art, his craft, his martial arts, and that was how he was able to get past him. In fact, he said something pretty poignant. I think that's very important for anyone who does martial arts or anything in life in general, is that if you master the fundamentals, then all the other stuff will fall in place. And that's what my jiu-jitsu teachers always tell me, is that get really good at the fundamentals and then everything else will come in place. That's, when people are doing all kinds of fancy techniques, and you guys who follow jiu-jitsu or you follow any type of martial arts, you see these guys that do all these fancy techniques and all these fancy moves and whatnot. You're like, man, I really wish I could move like that. But at the end of the day, the reason they can do all that stuff is because they mastered the fundamentals. And that was a really good point that Flashy Flash had told Demon Wind and Hellfire. I'm pretty sure that's not their names, but I'm just going to call them that, Demon Wind and Hellfire. And he just said, hey, you guys just needed to master the fundamentals. That's pretty much it. And then after he finishes the fight, we have this funny scene right here. It looks like Flashy Flash is kind of like Rowan or Zoro. They are bad with directions, and so he ends up getting lost and whatnot. And then here we go to probably what is the most boring part of the episode, and that's when we follow Child Emperor. Whoever did the part for Flashy Flash, hats off to you. That was a really great fight. I really enjoyed it. But then we go over here to Child Emperor, and he gets ready to take on Phoenix Man because he's getting close to finding that kid that he needs to save. He's obviously a smart kid, because as he's walking here, and by the way, this is also, let me just back up for a minute. The one other positive thing about this episode is they did not use that many filters, which is great. This episode, I almost thought this episode would not have any filters, but then during the Flashy Flash fight, there was a filter that was put on Flashy Flash. Let me see if I can find that here. And if I don't, it doesn't matter if I don't find it. The point of the matter is when they used the neon filter during the Flashy Flash fight, it was to good effect. It really was used in such a way that it captured the spirit of the fight, the impact of the fight, the essence of the fight, and it captured Flashy Flash's emotionless type resolve that he had when he was fighting those two characters. But right here, yeah, it's not that bad or anything like that, but it's just really good that they actually limited the use of filters in this episode. But this fight that Flashy, or rather Child Emperor has, he takes on a whole bunch of monsters. He sees one right there. He's updating some of the data from this robot that he finds. But right here is when he gets ready to take on Phoenix Man, and Phoenix Man is trying to fight him right here. But instead of fighting Phoenix Man, Child Emperor actually does actually go and save the child instead. He says that's going to be his primary focus. And you see all these monsters right here. He's going to kill them with a gas attack. There's a slime thing that comes down. He actually just burns this one alive. He doesn't even deal with. No, that's not correct. He did try to deal with him with other types of means of machinery and techniques to try to take him out, but it didn't. None of them worked. So he just filled him up with fuel and then set him on fire and said that's it. But then towards the end of the episode, this is where he gets ready to take on this robotic samurai. And this robotic samurai is also emotionless. He says right there, "Spare me your name, I'll dispose of you right away." But Child Emperor says, "Nah, you know what? We're not going to fight you. We're going to just use a diversion, my dogs as a diversion. This Cerberus dog machine right here that's going to be taking on this mechanical samurai." And then he takes this kid, Magnuma as his name, and they run off trying to escape. And that's pretty much the episode here. The Child Emperor fights were not all that fun to see, but I think this episode is rescued by the fact that Flashy Flash had a really good fight against these two the Demon Wind and Hellfire. He had a really good fight against them, and I was impressed by it. I liked that fight. So yeah, I think I would give this episode no 0.5s. I would give it a 6 out of 10. A 6 out of 10 I think is a pretty fair score for this, because again, the flashy flash fight is what actually saves this episode. Because if it was just a child emperor, oh my god, that would have been so boring. So yeah, the flashy flash fight saves this entire episode. So that's my thoughts on the matter. What are your guys' thoughts? Did you guys like this episode? Did you think that it could be a little better or whatnot? Jump down in the comments and let me know what you think, and make sure you do like, share, subscribe, turn on the post notifications. All that stuff really does help me out. And remember, this is Chris Bolt signing off, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Take it easy.